Start?
Yeah.
Hello everybody, welcome to the Speakeasy.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jake.
And that was sexy. We are the Dirt Road Men.
Steve says hi, if you can't tell. He's happy about his body.
Yep. I know I said that I was gonna grab where I will yell, but we can have a little turkey to start us off.
I'm not upset about it.
I don't even think you would be. It's so good. I'm probably buying a bottle of 101 when I get paid anyway for our Thanksgiving video, which will be a year from when we started filming videos, but not a year from when Dirt Road Men became a thing.
Yeah.
Our official 1 year is January. But basically, we've been trying to do this since Thanksgiving of last year.
Dude, that was a clank.
That was awesome.
The other ones are clinks. That's not a clank.
Yeah. Well, this is glass. Those are crystal. That probably helps.
You could probably kill somebody with this, too.
What is it, your period? Alright, so...
It's not cranberry juice.
We weren't sure what to talk about this week. We just went with current events. The midterm elections are in 2 days. I already voted in early voting. And so we thought we could talk a little bit about, you know, just what's been going on, political issues, stuff like that. How crazy the Democrats have gotten. Because I used to, like, consider myself an independent, because it's like, yeah, you know, I'm not necessarily conservative or liberal. It depends on what issue we're talking about. But, you know, when your party goes all the way to socialism 90% of the time, and then you could just go nuts, yeah, I can't vote for you.
Yeah, socialism
So,
is bad, okay?
yeah. I actually read the manifesto over the weekend and am doing a thing for it for other stuff. So, but anyway, yeah, I voted in Kansas. I can't remember which district, Leavenworth County.
I didn't.
So, yeah. You didn't know a lot about the smaller election candidates, did you?
No.
And in Kansas, like, Kansas goes red so much that unseating a Kansas Republican is really unlikely, and if you do it, it's going to be in the House.
You see that there was there was like the two main people who were running, and then there was like a third guy who ended up like passing both of them.
Well, the biggest election in Kansas for this midterm election is Chris Kobach versus whoever the hell wants to go against Chris Kobach. And Chris Kobach wasn't necessarily my first choice, but he's who I have to go with.
There was a third guy, Orman, I think,
Mm-hmm.
who is projected. He had like, I don't know, his meter was higher than the other two.
I thought Orman wasn't going for governor. I could be wrong.
Maybe it was. No, I think it was.
It might have been governor.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
I
he's running for
can't remember
thing.
all of the names. I went through and I watched several videos doing analysis, and I did a little bit of research on my own. It looks like, most likely, Democrats are going to take the House by like a relatively narrow margin, and the Republicans are going to hold the Senate. They may even gain a couple seats in the Senate. But it looks like they may lose the House, which may cause some gridlock. There was one guy that I started watching. I watched a few of his videos because a bunch of people recommended him to me, and he actually said that it might be good for Trump to lose one of the two houses of Congress, because then in 2020 he can point to gridlock as a reason he wasn't able to get some stuff done. Because he's already said that he's going to start really pushing the wall hard again after midterms.
Well, yeah, with the caravan on its way.
Yeah, that stuff's nuts. Barack Obama said the other day that the caravan going to not our caravan going to the border, our military, all the soldiers were sitting down there, was a political stunt, to which James Mattis, the true God Emperor, responded that we do not do stunts in my Department of Defense.
True God Emperor. I'll cheers to that.
If I could just clone a bunch of Mattises and make them experts in whatever they needed to be experts in, I would just fill our government with him. But
Big Brother, no Big Daddy.
We'll have the benevolent totalitarian dictatorship of Mattis, and he'll be a libertarian dictator, basically just leave us the hell alone, and anybody that wants to mess with us, he'll just turn to dust.
Just like every headline you see is another country we've annexed, and then eventually another planet.
Mars has oil, we'll be there tomorrow.
The Marine Corps in space.
That's the Space Force, man. We created a whole branch for that.
Is that a real thing?
Trump really wanted to do it, and I think he really pushed through official documents, but I don't think they've hired anybody or anything.
But I mean, like, that's not a joke.
He wasn't joking.
Okay, what is the...
I don't know anything
Why?
about the Space Force.
Why, though?
I don't know.
Is it... You don't
Maybe
know.
it's for space warfare.
Space warfare? I guess that could be a thing.
We could fight in space against our enemies on Earth.
Fair enough.
You know, like, go up higher than satellites, drop something on your enemy's country so that they can't detect it coming.
Call of Duty Ghosts. No. They had something similar. It was they called it the Odin, and it was like a big giant satellite weapon that would just like gang rape wherever it was pointed at.
Like the Hammer of Dawn in Halo, or the Euclid Sea Finder in Fallout New Vegas.
How do you get that thing to work?
You turn on Archimedes at Helios 1.
Oh.
And if you turn that on, you can just point it and go, and it'll just rain death from the sky.
How many times can you do that?
Once a day.
Bitcoin.
Wow, that was
Anyway.
tangential.
But yeah. I guess that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Unless somebody hacked into it and used it on us, like
I
they
don't
did in Ghost.
I think it's nuts that people are freaking out that we want to stop this migrant caravan. It's like, I'm sorry, we don't just want to open the door to 5,000 people all at once.
Yeah, we have
And there's so many people that both sides can, like, lens who they can frame the people they want the caravan to be. Like the right will frame the most violent, obvious criminal members of the caravan, and the left will frame the mother and child, you know.
I don't care who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just more mouths to feed when we have people in our own countries sleeping on the streets and...
Who served our country?
Yeah. I don't remember statistics, but a
Yeah.
lot of the homeless and the veteran suicide rate. Holy crap.
Yeah, like, let's take care of our homeless and our veterans.
Not some
Well,
random...
and we had, like, a major, not a moratorium, but almost a moratorium on immigration, and we were super selective about it for a lot of years because we wanted to make sure everyone would assimilate appropriately. And we just kind of opened the floodgates in, like, the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And we had relatively open borders several times before, especially when we were just, like, wildly annexing stuff. Like, oh, you want to go to war with us? Well, this is Texas, and it's ours. And the Louisiana Purchase, of course, being the biggest one.
Well, we bought that.
Yeah. At, like, 20 cents an acre or something.
It's not my bad the French don't know how to manage their money.
The French don't know how to do a lot of things. They might know how to whiskey. I doubt it, but they made a whiskey that we should probably try at some point, but I'll put it behind the Canadian whiskeys, because at least Canada isn't France.
Parts of Canada. They're still French Canadians.
Yeah, but they're still not France. They're their own country.
They have the Queen on their money. Super British.
Yeah, I know. But, you pulled me way off of what I was trying to say, man.
Look like a caravan and...
Yeah, it just...
Immigration.
I mean, first off, my favorite thing is there are people in the caravan currently talking about how douchey the president is and, like, F Donald Trump and all this stuff, and they're waving the flag of the country they came from, headed to our country, and it's like,
if your country was so great, why'd you leave?
Yeah, and if you don't like our president or our country, don't come.
And they are no longer classified as seeking asylum because
There's so many.
well, not just because there's so many, but like Mexico was like, look, you also can hang out here. We have a big country. You guys can hang out here. Just and they're like, no.
They said they could stay there even after they crossed Mexico's border illegally.
Yes.
Wow.
They Mexico was willing to grant them asylum, but they decided against it, and they ended up dragging a Mexican official through the street. Like,
wow, that's nuts. I hadn't heard about that. Yeah, and
they're
so,
not peaceful,
right? And even then, it's like, all right, well, you're at the border, but if you one at a time, you will be evaluated, and if you're seeking asylum, you get to go to the front of the line if you qualify, and if you don't, which sounds like most of them, if not all of them, don't, you get in line behind everybody else, and you wait, and if you don't wait, then we will make you wait. And I don't feel bad for enforcing a border, because if you want to have a country, and have your country have its own unifying set of values, and be different from other countries, you have to have borders and control what's inside of them. Like, you don't have to exert control on people's day-to-day lives, but you still want to make sure that you don't just get this huge, basically invading force coming in and just flooding the country for no reason. And we don't owe them anything. That's like, if some guy comes to your door, it's hospitable to be nice to him, maybe let him get warm if it's the middle of winter, and his car broke down, maybe give him something to eat, but you know how many people do that nowadays?
That's how you get robbed.
Yeah, none. I'd do it. Why? Because I'm pretty much always carrying, and if that guy wants to jack with me, by all means. Yeah, I'm like,
there was an episode,
okay.
episode of King Queens where that happened.
Oh, yeah?
And it just clicked in my head who the robber was. Nick Offerman.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
That's random.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it was about this time of year, and they let the guy in. It was like Thanksgiving or something, and
yeah,
he ended up robbing them. They all went outside, and he locked the door while his buddy came in. And
yeah, see, that's nuts. And it's the same thing. You try to be hospitable, but there are limits. And one guy shows up at your door, and maybe you feel sorry for him. Maybe you let him use your phone. You give him a hot cup of coffee, maybe a blanket, tell him to sit on your front porch. Maybe you're nice enough to invite him inside. You don't have to. You don't owe him a thing. Everything you do is a nicety. And if he shows up instead with 50 people, you're not letting all 50 people in your house. Don't tell me you are. Like, this is that same situation on a larger scale. Except I suppose 5,000 would be more like showing up at your door with like 5 people.
that's still
Again, no. My concealed carry weapon holds 9 rounds total, 8 plus 1. I'm sorry, I'm not letting 5 of you in. I would like to have at least 2 bullets per person.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to stand up in single file.
Yeah. Just stand in a line, and I will help you one at a time, and then the next person can go to the back.
We're going to have a lesson in sharing today.
Yeah. But... Well, I got 12 bullets, so you're gonna have to share!
I like our talk videos.
Yeah, they're fun. And the problem is we do them last, so we've got to like hold off all the BS that we sometimes drop in our cigar and whiskey videos. And save it for the last videos. But, yeah, they're a lot of fun. In December, we've got a lot of fun videos coming up, but go ahead.
Back on the topic, we were still talking about the caravan.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen posts and stuff on social media about people complaining about not letting them in as a violation of their constitutional rights. Like, I don't know if...
Constitutional rights are afforded to American citizens.
Yes. And I mean, there are some things that kind of apply to immigrants, like even if you're here illegally, you are still allowed to go to school, free public education.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, stuff like that, they're not here. if we don't let them in, if they don't come here, then they don't have any of our rights. If we stop them before they cross the border, then they don't have anything. As of right now, they have nothing.
Yeah, there's some guy outside our house that we can choose to or not to let in, and anything we decide to do for them is kindness.
Yep. And if they try to come into our house
without us being willing, we can respond accordingly.
Yes.
And I can't remember if it was Trump or Mattis that said it, and frankly it doesn't really matter because it ends in the same order, but it was said that, like, any projectile that comes towards our troops will be treated as a bullet. And we will respond accordingly. We will respond with bullets. So I'm hoping, because, you know, it looks like they may get here about the weekend of Thanksgiving, that I don't have to see something about a massacre at the border. But if I do, it's like, don't poke the bear. It's like, okay, I went into a bear's den, and it saw me and it left me alone, so I went up and threw a rock at it. What did you think was going to happen? Mattis is really, really good at one thing. And our military is really, really good at one or two things. Generally, that is laying out whatever's in front of them. If they're sitting there, you do what they say.
Well, that time we pretty much took on the entire world. Twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes.
Yeah. Ask Japan. Sorry, Japan.
Not
sorry for nuking you, sorry for bringing it up. I know it hurts.
They doubled down. And then they nuked themselves a couple centuries later. Or a couple decades later.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the caravan thing is nuts. I think the recent... especially with, like, Kavanaugh and the behavior of the Democrats with Kavanaugh, like, I tended to be a fairly middle-of-the-road guy. Like, I'm liberal or conservative based on what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm anti-drug war. I don't see a point in it.
Yeah,
It's not winning.
No.
And the CIA's controlling the drug flow anyway, and they're not stopping the drug flow, so it's like...
I mean, just go to Casey's in Eudora. They ain't winning nothing.
Yeah. And, you know, it's... But also, like, I'm about as pro-gun as you can get. I'm cool with machine guns in Brooklyn. I'm willing to accept some things, but that doesn't mean I like them. That means I'm trying to be nice and considerate of the other side.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, shall not be infringed is the line. Somebody got mad at me for saying that the NRA shouldn't write our gun... because somebody was like, the NRA writes our gun laws. It was David Hogg. David Hogg was like, the NRA writes our gun laws. And I was like, I agree with you. The NRA shouldn't write our gun laws. Nobody should have wrote our gun laws after the Second Amendment was penned.
Yeah. I thought Thomas Jefferson did a pretty nice job of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, a bunch of people had hands.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
But yeah, I know what you mean. And I was like, the NRA shouldn't write our gun laws. Nobody should. They shouldn't be there.
We have one.
Yeah, we have one. It's really simple. And some guy was like, the NRA is very, pro-Second Amendment and fights for your gun rights and all this. And I was like, yeah, but they supported the machine gun ban and the bump stock ban, and they've got some problems. They were compromises.
I understand restrictions on certain things. Restrictions.
I understand restricting bombs. Tell me I can't have a grenade. That's cool.
Yeah. I can kind of see, because machine guns aren't really banned.
Yeah, machine guns manufactured after 1983 or 4 are.
You still have special tax stamps, don't you?
Still have to be manufactured before 1983 or 4.
When did the AA-12 come out?
Oh,
maybe I'm not thinking. Maybe it was just the. Anyway, but you can still get stuff.
It's by my understanding. I can be wrong.
Really, the only machine gun I want was made in the early 1920s.
I was talking to Momo about this the other day.
Yeah, I'm sure you were.
I was like, machine guns aren't actually that great for much more than crowd suppression or large groups.
Oh,
Semi-auto is better for taking people down because then you can go one guy at a time and figure it out. But if you have a large crowd that you need to deal with, then yeah.
Here's what you do. Say you only want, to fire 2 or 3 rounds at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Yes.
This?
Yeah,
this.
I know.
You
I'm aware of how it works.
Anyway, I can understand, the restrictions where you have to go and pay extra money, just like with suppressors.
Yeah.
Personally, like home defense situation, I don't want a suppressor. I want everybody in my neighborhood to know what's going on in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody messed up. Somebody called the police because I'm shooting people.
Yeah, and the only time I would really, really want a suppressor is if I was going to be at the range.
Yeah, that'd be nice, but
that's what I mean. Like, that still doesn't mean I like restrictions on them. I just understand and I'm willing to accept them. But that they got super mad at me like I was crapping all over the NRA, and it's like, no, I understand what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to play the game. And the game is, they want something, what do we give them?
Yeah.
And like with bump stocks, like, you can simulate a bump stock super easy. Bump stocks are pointless. You don't need them.
No.
I think it's dumb to be forced to give them up because of Vegas, but I'm okay with giving them up. It's like, yeah,
Did
sure,
they
fine.
get rid of those?
They banned them in Florida and some states.
Oh, okay. Probably not here, though.
I don't think they've banned them nationally yet.
Okay. It's...
Even if they did ban them nationally after Kansas's law a couple years ago, I don't know if that matters.
Who was... That was Brownback, wasn't it?
Hmm?
That was at least one good thing. I don't know about all of
I think 90% of what people hate about Brownback, since we did talk about Kobach, is that everything.
Yeah.
And Brownback is in favor of lower taxes, so he cut everybody's taxes too.
Mm-hmm.
But he also cut education, and he cut a lot of stuff people didn't like. But he cut everything. So.
And I bet a lot of those same people who are complaining about the blanket cuts are the same people who want the blanket everything. Communism and
some of
socialism.
them. Some of them are just teachers that are like, man, you're making our lives harder. And it's like, I understand that your lives are getting harder, but we're also in the hole.
Yeah.
Like, our state has been in the hole, so the way you stop that is you cut spending. Now, me personally, the one thing I don't get about Republicans, although I understand because you have to play the election game and you don't know what's going to happen after the next election,
mm-hmm.
I feel like you should forcefully lower spending before you lower taxes.
Yeah. So at least you're bringing in the same amount, but you're not spending as much, so...
I don't care if they're back-to-back bills, like one's passed one week and the other's passed the next.
Mm-hmm.
I just think I would focus on cutting spending before I would cut taxes.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would like them both cut. One thing I felt bad about when I went to vote is I did all this research. I did no research on the judges. And the whole back of my sheet was like, should this judge retain office? Should this judge retain office? Should it?
There's
like,
a lot.
I guess you all get to retain office because I don't know who the hell any of you are.
So there's a lot more on the voting thing than I thought. I've only ever voted for presidency one time, and I voted for George Washington. Because I thought both candidates were equally
bad.
Yeah. So.
I do think it was funny in 2016 that they were like, oh my god, Trump is an unprecedented ridiculousness from the Republicans. And it's like, well, you crapped all over Mitt Romney, who was like the softest soft dude ever.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, I don't want to play the low game. I don't want to insult my opponent. I just want to beat him on ideas. And Barack was like, I'm going to insult this guy because he said, my job's not to worry about all the poorest people in the country because they only make up an X percentage. My job is to worry about the middle.
Uh-huh.
And if I can move the middle, the people at the bottom benefit. And they tore him apart for that. My grandparents didn't vote for him because of that. And it's like, I understand his point. You move the center of the bell curve, you move the tails.
Yeah.
But then, Trump came along and they were like, we messed up. We were cool with that guy.
Yeah. But that's the thing about Trump, though. He's not really he is a politician now, but he's not really a politician.
He plays the whole game differently.
Yeah, he is a businessman.
Well, and I think Blue Collar Logic nailed it with his promises. He promises big, and then he kind of underdelivers, but it's because he's bargaining at the same time.
Yeah.
He's like, I want a wall, but I'll settle for a really secure border.
Yeah.
And strict immigration policy and all this stuff.
And I think one of the biggest reasons why he was elected and is when you are so big, when you are the symbol for something that your country stands for, capitalism,
the symbol of capitalist success.
Yes, it's when people are paying you millions of dollars just to put your last name on the front of their building.
Yeah.
You've done something right somewhere along the lines.
One of my favorite things Blue Collar Logic said, the thing that got me to watch their channel was them being like, yeah, some people are like, he doesn't even own those buildings that our names are on the side. Exactly.
Yes.
They will pay him just to slap his name on their building. That's how successful he is. And even if you want to say that he got $500 million from his dad, which is higher than the highest possible estimate because he got at most 430, but he had already built a bigger fortune than that by the time his dad died. He was worth, I think it was $8 billion, now he's worth $3 billion. Like,
just because he had to let go of some of his companies.
Well, not only that, but his companies did take a hit when he ran for president too, like heavy hits. His daughter's companies too. His daughter ran a clothing line that nobody would carry anymore while he was running for president.
Really?
Yeah.
Stupid. I mean, were they good clothes?
I don't know.
Presumably, if people were carrying them.
Yeah, I would assume that they were selling fine. But, you know, that's freedom of association. That's free market. I'm okay with it. But, and the man doesn't take a salary and still has to pay for all his meals. So,
but how much it costs, like, out of pocket to be president? I mean, like, after you've already won, like, how much does it cost a year to live in the White House?
But, yeah. Did you see Kanye West flipped again? He's back to being the D-bag that I'm happy to bag on instead of the D-bag that I, for some reason, have to defend. And I just wanted to defend the guy because it's like he's allowed to think what he wants to think. He's still allowed to think what he wants to think. Yeah. Well, what happened is he became friends with Candace Owens. You've seen Candace Owens. You thought she was relatively pretty. She used to be Red Pill Black on YouTube. Okay. You've seen several of her videos. Anyway, he kind of was going around with her, and then he introduced her to a guy, and she came up with a logo for something that's become big this election cycle called Blexit, meaning the blacks exiting the Democrat Party. So that she's campaigning to get black people to vote Republican.
Okay.
And Blexit is supposed to be that. And she attached Kanye West's name to it without asking him because he introduced her to the guy that gave her the logo. And then he was like, my name's been used to push politics I don't necessarily agree with. I did not agree to be part of Blexit. And then he said that he was stepping back from politics and then donated a bunch of money to a lefty guy in Chicago. So, maybe I won't have to hear about him, you know, being attacked by people on the left anymore, so now I don't have to be like, the man's allowed to think what he wants to think, even if it is asinine. Like, I'm a proud non-reader of books. But then, that made it even harder to defend him, because this one guy was like, Kanye West is what happens when Negroes don't read, and it's like, well, he did say he was a proud non-reader of books, but at the same time, that's a pretty crappy thing to say there, mister.
Yeah, quote from Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Ooh, okay.
He was quoted saying, "I'll have these
hard N
voting Democrat for centuries."
Yeah, I thought it was like the next 100 years or something.
Maybe it was the next 100 years.
But yeah, and he's not wrong.
It's
percentage-wise. But Candace Owens has done a lot to kind of pull people to her side, but she's... I'm not sure of the word. What's the word for nitroglycerin? Not unstable, but it's a word that starts with a V.
volatile.
Volatile. Thank you. She's a volatile woman.
That's not how you transport nitro.
She gets bitey, and sometimes she doesn't do what she should do to correctly further her message. She's an angry lady sometimes. Despite the fact that she has views that, generally speaking, I agree with. She does that, and it's alienated a lot of people from her. And then she partnered with Charlie Kirk, who's a 25-year-old kid, and he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder. And, like, he pushes a lot of views I agree with, but I watched 2 of his debates from Politicon where he just got destroyed. And then douchey Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks asked him how much money he made, and he, like, lost it. Lost his crap. Plus he was wearing Yeezys with a suit.
What is
Kanye West shoe.
Was it one of the homeless styles he was doing, or?
No, it wasn't.
Oh.
It's his like $500, $1,000 shoe.
That's an expensive shoe.
Yeah.
Is that a 1,000,000-mile shoe? 1,000-mile shoe?
I don't know. It's Kanye West's shoe. He put his name on it. He worked with Adidas. He produced a shoe that he could sell for a stupid amount of money. So.
Will it stop it now?
No. Anyway, it's not important. What is important is Cenk asked him how much money he made, and rather than answering the question or answering calmly, coolly, collected, he stood up and started screaming, "I live like a capitalist every day, Cenk!" And went like he was going to go in the audience and fist fight this guy. It's like, oh, that shows control.
Yeah. That's nuts.
And look, Cenk Uygur is a giant douche. I can't think of very many more punchable faces. I watch him all the time, and maybe that's why I feel like punching him in the face. Because he's a hard left guy, and I like to get both sides of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot stand the guy, but you cannot go into a political debate room and not be able to control yourself that well. Even Trump was better about controlling himself.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff he did was like take pot shots. He didn't lose it and go ape on everybody.
Yeah, it's...
Ape shit, whatever.
That's not nuts.
Yeah, it made me lose a lot of respect for the guy. But it's like he is also like a 25-year-old guy. He's our age, and a lot of guys our age are just not that good at putting a lid on it and thinking shit through all the way. And he doesn't have as much experience as the people he's debating that have been in this game for 15 years longer.
Yeah, still, age is not an excuse for being a hothead.
No, not for being a hothead, but sucking at debate, it is a decent excuse.
Well, yeah, but I mean, him popping off.
And he dropped out of college, so he didn't get to really study debate deeply. But he, the thing I worry about with Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens is something in me feels like maybe they have these views, but they are also trying to capitalize on the money that's currently circulating in that side of the movement. Which,
I mean, it's...
Hey, if it's there, it's there, and he says some things that I agree with. A lot of things I agree with, actually. And so, yeah, I'm willing to give it to him. But if he was on the other side, I think I might look at him and say, I think this guy's motivated by money. Because he's not a skilled debater, and he doesn't seem to be able to hold up his ideas very well. But I might not be a skilled debater. I don't know. I've never got to debate anybody drastically different from me other than on Facebook. So...
Well, you work with a fella that you guys go back and forth, don't you?
Yeah, but he won't change his mind on anything. He'll just say, I disagree, and then stop.
Oh, so that's like the end of the debate. Like there's...
Yeah. He won't. That's the thing. He won't adjust his perspective on anything. Whereas he'll hit me with something I haven't seen before. He does this a lot. He'll hit me with something, and then it's like, I've never heard of that. I've got to go look that up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the conversation's dead. Until the next time he wants to bring it up. And there is another guy, though, that's willing to change his mind based on what I present. And his Ryan, the guy that I joked looked like maybe a little too much like me because he was bald and he had a big beard and he had a hat really similar to mine, my black one, but with a flat bill.
Okay.
I showed it to my wife and she was like, "Oh, he does look kind of similar," but then when you look at him from the front, he still looks pretty different. Plus, he's taller. He is fairly hard left, but pro-gun, and he and I can have debates, and he'll actually adjust his perspective. So those are productive debates, which is way more what I'm interested in having than getting in front of a camera and trying to shame somebody.
Yeah, that gets nobody anywhere.
It makes a lot of money on YouTube, but
okay, I guess
look up Ben Shapiro destroys sometime.
Yeah. Okay, that gets some people a lot of money, but
it's not how I'm interested in making a difference. I'm kind of a laid-back dude. I like to drink whiskey, smoke cigars, and chat about stuff like we do here. Like, I just hate getting into, like, violent arguments about it, because the people that want to argue that way aren't going to change their mind anyway. Public debates, most of the time, they're not going to concede because they want to win over the crowd, because you're not going to change the other guy most of the time. They just want to win over the crowd. I really liked Tucker Carlson and Cenk Uyghur's debate at Politicon this year. It made me pay more attention to Tucker Carlson because I didn't care who he was. I was like, oh, he's just Bill O'Reilly's replacement, and I didn't care much about Bill O'Reilly.
Why did Bill O'Reilly just retire?
Sex scandal.
I thought there was
Me Too stuff.
I thought there was something kind of sketchy about him dipping out, but
I
wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was some Me Too type stuff. I don't know what necessarily happened. I know Crowder always, before he even got hit, he was like, yeah, whenever he has a chick on in a short skirt, it's funny how the camera kind of aims down at that glass table. He joked it when Tommy Lauren was a little more famous than she is now. He had her on his show, and he's like, see, we've got the camera pointed at your face. Although he had a hard time on that show. I think maybe she was a little too pretty for him.
Hey man, I've been in situations like that.
Yeah, where you just sound like a complete idiot. It's like, man, I know the words are in my head that I should say here, but they're not anywhere near here.
Yeah, it's Warlord Bird Mouth.
Yeah. So what did we hit on? We hit on the midterms, we hit on the caravan. There's been some other asinine stuff in the news this week. We hit on Kanye. Let me just roll through Twitter and see what people are flipping out about really quick. That's part of why I got one, is I have a hard time garnering from Instagram or Facebook what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't watch a whole lot of news. I get, some YouTube videos that give me the news, and like I said, I try to watch left and right, but most of those are politicized because that's what gets attention. It's hard to get unbiased news. Oh yeah, there was an American senator. No, he's not running for Senate. He's running for House of Representatives in Texas, and he's missing an eye, and SNL made fun of him last night. And a bunch of people got mad because he lost an eye in war.
Oh.
Ooh! I remember one, but go ahead.
You watch Better Call Saul?
No, I've never watched it.
Okay, there's a guy in Longmire. I don't know how many episodes he's in, but he was missing a hand.
I don't remember.
He's been in a few other things. So there's an actor who's recently come out. He's missing a hand.
Mm-hmm.
For the last 20 years, he lost that hand.
It took him 20 years to lose it?
No. It was like... around 20 years ago when he started acting. He lost his hand as a service member in the U.S. military. He was claiming he lost it doing something, and he is a disabled veteran.
Okay.
Well, recently he came out. He cut his hand off himself with a skill saw.
Whoa! Okay, I do remember hearing about this.
I'm not sure if he ever served in the military, or if like the whole thing was a fabrication. But I know he had very serious mental problems, and he was off his meds for a while, and ended up deciding he wasn't getting enough work. What would make him more distinguishable? So he cut off at least his hand. I haven't seen either one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing I saw, it said his arm, and then it said his hand. So somewhere between the elbow and the wrist, he is missing from a skill saw he did by himself on purpose. And my first thought was, man, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know.
Something should be said for your dedication, despite the fact that it's dedication to a lie. It's kind of like the whole the Dave Chappelle joke about why he's perfectly willing to believe transgender people that go through surgery actually believe what they're saying. Because I don't care how much you lie. Once you cut your D off, I believe you.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
That's a whole different form of self-mutilation. But like, I don't know if this guy was ever actually in the military. If so, I'd be a lot less upset.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even if not, that's some serious dedication, and I'm pretty freaking impressed.
Yeah, like, you should suffer some penalties, but I don't know if you should go away completely. You just,
He's back on his meds now, though.
Yeah.
Which is probably
a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need you being a Lieutenant Dan on us.
No kidding.
I went ahead and just hacked off my legs with a hacksaw.
That's insane.
Did it have teeth on it? No. Oh.
So, the last thing I thought we should get to that came up this week was birthright citizenship. Did you hear about this?
Yes, and I have mixed feelings.
Okay, so Trump wants to end birthright citizenships for the children of illegal aliens.
Yes.
So that's been a thing since 1868, supposedly, July 9th, 1868, when the 14th Amendment was adopted. Anybody that was born here, even if they were born to illegal aliens, if they were born on U.S. soil, they were considered an American citizen.
Yes, I actually meant to bring that up earlier. You were talking about how there was like a big spike in immigration in like the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody like made that a big deal, like pointed that out, that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what, like in the 60s, and that's part of what they think caused the big spike.
Mm-hmm.
Anchor babies.
Yep.
And here's
that's what he is trying to address here.
Yeah, and that's my mixed feelings. It's like, okay, using the children just to make yourselves at least be here for 18 years because your kid's a citizen. Okay, I can see not wanting to do that. But I also see, why birthright citizenship should be a thing because, I mean, you're born on our soil.
My head wants to, or I guess my heart, you could say, my emotional reaction, because I don't know much about this, is to say, yeah, they were born on our soil, they're ours now.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't jettison their parents, at least until they're 18. We could.
How many people will need a baby? Can't have a baby. Willing to do pretty much anything for a baby.
Yep.
You care if your baby is
sort
6
of like,
or 7 shades
sort of
darker?
like one of our old friends. I wouldn't. Sort of like one of our old friends' sisters that, like, as she cranks out baby, the state takes them away.
Yeah.
It's like she tried to hide that she was pregnant, and then she ended up having to go to the hospital to have the kid, and they were just like, hey, ours.
Yeah.
And I support that decision 100%. I'm not trying to defend this chick. She should not have children. And if you're watching our video, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have kids. You're willing to jump that, huh? I don't know her well enough to say F off, but I know she shouldn't have kids. Anyhow. However, I'd have to look into the issue better than I have so far to really have a good stance on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger problem is, I'm not sure I care a whole lot one way or the other.
Yeah, that's...
But that's because it doesn't affect me or my children.
Yeah, I mean,
So I don't know.
with generations behind us.
Yeah. Apparently my granddad's family got here in like the 1600s.
That was before this was America.
Yeah. We've got old money in our blood, but it didn't stay with me. It went north.
Had it, we would have cigars right now.
Yeah. We'd actually be smoking cigars right now.
That's a cigarette butt.
I know, I'm breaking up the ashes.
Oh, okay.
I thought you had more to say. I didn't know the camera was going to be focused on me breaking up ashes.
I don't know.
I turn into Seth. Give me that cigar, bud.
It was mine.
I'm kidding.
I thought about it.
Anyway. We were on the subject of birthright citizenship.
Yeah, it's mixed feelings for me. Like, I can see why you would kind of want to end that, but I can also see where that's kind of messed up. Because either way, that child, that little tiny person, didn't choose where they were going to be born at. They were just kind of dealt. They're dealt the hand they're given. Is that the right way to say that?
We weren't necessarily born into the best situations.
Yeah, but they were born here.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes down to it, that's really all the stake I have.
Yeah. I don't know. We might fall on a liberal side of this.
Yeah.
Because one thing I do is before I consume, what I try to do is before I consume any media on a thing, I try to go in and look at the numbers and the data, and then I look at everybody's spin on it. Because everybody, whether they mean to or not, puts a little bit of spin on it. And I haven't even done that yet, and my gut wrench, my knee-jerk, I should say, reaction is I don't like it. But I may not like it, and it still be a good answer to a problem. And therefore I might be for it.
Yeah, because
but I'd have to look into that
if you
data.
ended that, I think that would cut down a lot on the immigration because of, a lot of the kids who are born under, or fall under the birthright citizenship, that's the only reason their parents probably even got pregnant, was just to have the kid on on American soil.
Mm-hmm.
And then
same thing with marriages just to get green cards.
Yeah.
Like a dude. Here's an example of why somebody might be willing to marry a chick that just wants a green card. To go into the military, if you have children, you have to be married, even if it's not to their mother.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest way to get away with that, then, would be to marry a chick that needs a green card, and you both get a benefit from it. You can get divorced later whenever that problem is dealt with.
Yeah, it has to be you have to be married for 5 years or they lose their green card.
So you marry them for 5 years?
Yeah.
Date somebody else. You both win.
Yeah.
That said, I don't know. I don't like it on its face. But, the times that it has popped up, the way that I know about it is people being angry about it. So maybe that's got something to do with it. But just, thinking about it on its face, that's where I'm at.
I do think that if you're going to come to the country,
mm-hmm.
United States, or if you're going to move to any country, whether legally or illegally, you should at least know how to communicate with people.
One thing I like that Tucker Carlson said is he said you need to have a few unifying things.
Uh-huh.
You need to have a unifying love of that country.
Uh-huh.
If not necessarily a love of the government, that's fine. You need to have a unifying language.
Yes.
And there's one other thing that essentially boiled down to like an all-American culture that somebody would adopt, even while they brought pieces of their own culture. Which is why we have Americanized Mexican food, Americanized Chinese food.
My favorite restaurant in the entire world.
Okay.
Taco Bell. It is the most Americanized Mexican food you can get, but it is.
I'm not going there for authentic Mexican cuisine. I'm going there because I'm broke and I like tacos.
They're chalupas, though. I don't care. I've had authentic Mexican chalupas. They're not as good as Taco Bell chalupas, at least from the place I had them at.
I've been to real Mexican food places that, and been to real Mexican houses that gave me food, and I prefer Chipotle.
Now
I
authentic
prefer Burrito King. I prefer Taco Bell.
Authentic Mexican tamales, on the other hand.
Ooh,
I will beat you to death with a steel chair.
I think Burrito Kings are just as good as authentic Mexican tamales.
My wife worked with several Mexicans, and one of them, everyone...
Talking.
Yeah, everyone...
I'm sorry, that was me.
The one lady would bring in tamales, and one day Nord said, "Oh, she brought in tamales, and they're so great." And I'm like, "Where's mine? You didn't say me at least part of one?" She's like, "No." So the next time, the lady made me specifically, like she was like, "Here, I made these ones just for your husband," and oh my god!
You ever had real Asian egg rolls?
I think so. Asian guy handed them to me.
Vietnamese egg rolls. This chick I worked with from Vietnam would make egg rolls and bring them to work. Oh my god, they were amazing. I would buy them every time I could. They were $12 for a white box full of them. Like a regular, let's say, Annabelle's to-go box.
Okay.
Full of egg rolls.
For $12?
And they were like this big. Yeah. Because she would make them in huge batches.
Yeah.
And so $12 to her was more than enough.
Yeah, it's...
And she would sell like 40 of those a week.
I bet.
Or maybe it was every 2 weeks. It was every paycheck. So every 2 weeks. And, dude, she made a killing on those, and they were amazing. I'd buy them, stick them in the fridge, and they'd be all I'd eat for like 2 or 3 days.
Egg rolls are great.
Yeah. And hers tasted different than what you get at most restaurants.
Yeah. Yeah. I had bourbon in a minute.
See, synthetic still sounds good.
Yes, it does.
If you're still with us at this point, we're not just talking to ourselves.
We might be. But, I'm trying about the birthright thing.
Yeah, birthright citizenship is where we were at. It was supposed to be our last topic, but we're going a little long on it.
Yeah, some authentic. There's a authentic Mexican place in Eudora. I ate there.
Ooh.
Now it was okay. It wasn't
this where Annabelle's used to be.
Yes, it wasn't terrible. I've had worse tacos. I've had worse food.
Authentic cow tongue tacos are amazing.
That sounds sketchy to me. I mean, I've never eaten a cow tongue, so I don't know.
He fed them to me, and he wanted me to freak out. He was like, "Do you know what those were?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "Cow tongue." I'm like, okay, my great-grandmother used to feed me cow brain sandwiches. What's your point?
I'm 90% sure I've eaten dog before.
Yeah.
And it wasn't from an Asian person. It was...
Yep. Right.
But, yeah. Taco Bell's great. Got free tacos.
All of that.
I've recently gone gluten-free, so I don't eat. You're okay. We're wrapping up. I'm just stalling. I was really upset because I couldn't eat any of the tacos.
Yeah.
Free tacos at Taco Bell. It pissed me off.
Last week. Yeah. All right. I think that's good enough for this week.
Probably way more.
If anybody's still here, good on you, man.
Thank you. Steve says thank you also.
All right. Till we see you again, I'm Zach.
And I'm Jake.
We are the Dirt Road Men. Hey everybody, if you like this video, hit a like or dislike, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And if you really like what we're doing, check us out over on Facebook where we post every day.